What's up YouTube, it's your boy JoeWo, and in today's video, I'm going to be answering the question you guys have been asking me over and over since COD Next. Joe, how we feeling about the new Warzone? So let's get into it. Now, in case you guys missed it, I literally just got home, so I'm sorry if I'm looking a little rough, looking a little tired, but I just got home from COD Next, which was in Washington, D.C., and we got to play the brand new Black Ops 6 game, Zombies and Warzone. Now, I'm going to be giving you guys my honest feedback, the things I liked, the things I didn't like. I got to sit down with a lot of the devs, too, that I know personally, and I just gave them everything that I thought, and I want to know what you guys think from the gameplay you guys saw, and I know they're going to be reading these comments, too, because they're like, Joe, we love those kind of videos. Let us know what you think, and we do even read the people that comment on those to see what they think. So let me know down below what you guys thought of the gameplay that's playing behind me. What is the good, the bad, the ugly? So let's get into it. Now, the first thing that I do want to clear up, and I think a lot of people are confused, is that Black Ops 6 will be obviously its own standalone COD, but all of that content and everything that you saw from the multiplayer will be coming into Warzone. So our current Warzone right now will be changing in the next couple months. The version that we played was the alpha version of Warzone. So this is probably, I'm assuming we don't have a date yet, but 2 to 3 months out of actually releasing, but we will be getting Black Ops 6, the full game, next month. If you guys remember, like way back in Cold War, we had the Cold War game drop, and then like a month or so to grind the guns. Then all those guns came over to the old Warzone 1, and the same thing happened for MW2 and Warzone 2. So I'm just gonna pretend like that year didn't happen. But if you guys remember, all of those guns and all of that movement and stuff came over into Warzone, and then it shifted. So I saw a lot of people ask me questions like, Joe, the game isn't even changing, this doesn't matter. It does matter a lot, because everything you see regarding multiplayer, omni-movement, everything is gonna be coming to Warzone. The new guns, the new attachments will be coming to Warzone. Now, you will be able to still keep your old MW2 operators, the old guns, the MW3 guns, but in my opinion, obviously because it's Call of Duty, those guns won't be meta, I'm assuming, because they're going to be pushing people to buy the new game, to buy the new COD, and a lot of the attachments that we saw playing multiplayer only have positives and pros to them and no cons. So it gives kind of that old OG COD feeling, but all of the attachments have only pros, when a lot of the MW2 attachments now in Warzone have a lot of cons. So most of these attachments will be getting used, and I feel like the guns will be the same way. So I just wanted to clear that up because I saw a lot of people asking that question. So let's touch on Warzone and what I got to actually play. Now, I got to play the new Resurgence map, Area 99. So what we are thinking is, we didn't get clear news of what's going on, is that Area 99 is going to be the first map we get when Black Ops 6 comes over to Warzone. They also, which I know a lot of people are very, very excited for, confirmed Verdansk, which is coming in spring of 2025. Now, what I'm thinking is going to happen is we're still going to have the current big map right now that we've had, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I would even like Al Mazrah from Warzone 2 over this current map, but that's a whole nother video of maps I like and all that stuff. But what I think is going to happen is we're going to have Area 99 as the new Resurgence map. I'm assuming Rebirth, things like that, and then having the current big map we have now until they plan on bringing back Verdansk. Then when Verdansk comes back, that's going to be the new Warzone big map combined with ranked play and all that kind of stuff. Now, the biggest thing that I'm very, very excited about is obviously omni-movement, which I'm going to be touching on that a little bit later in the video, what I think about it, how I played. You guys know I love my movement, so I'm going to be touching on that. But a really good thing that I think they changed was the backpack system in Warzone. So now when Warzone gets switched over, and I'll just say the new Warzone, so then it's not confusing. When the new Warzone comes out, we will have no more backpacks, which I personally like. I think as a casual player too, and the biggest thing for me is I think in the last year, I've grown as a content creator, and you guys have hopefully seen it too, is before I was really pushing for skill gap, I want this, I want longer time to kill. I know that stuff is great, but at the end of the day, I gotta think, like, Call of Duty is a $1 billion business. If they would cater to me, the 0.00001%, no business does that, things like that. So I try to really think about and give them feedback of an honest balance, because I know you guys also are not trying to play the game like me. I play the game for a living. Blessed to say that, by the way. I love you guys. But a lot of people aren't like that. So having a game that's got a crazy skill gap, things like that, are not good for the person that can only play an hour a night or not that often, which is completely understandable, completely okay. So I think taking out backpacks is definitely going to make the game a lot simpler. Maybe a potential less skill gap, but also overall just give that OG Warzone feel. Because as you guys know, right now with Warzone, with the backpack system, you can store multiple streaks, multiple self-reses, smokes. You can have 6 smokes a person. And I feel like that kind of strayed away from how OG Warzone actually felt. So overall, the no backpack thing I think is definitely going to be a plus. They do have certain carriers of things you can grab, like plate carriers and things like that, that will help you carry more plates instead of, obviously, like we can't have a backpack to store more plates. Or there's like ammo carriers, things like that, that you can store more ammo. I don't know all of them off the top of my head because, like I said, we played an alpha version, so we couldn't use our own loadouts, our own perks, which I'll touch on that too. So I couldn't get a feel and see of all of the different vests and carriers they have. But I think the overall no backpack is going to be a great change because right now, I feel like it can get very confusing for a lot of casual players what they should be stowing with the PDSs, things like that. It can get confusing. So I think the no backpack will be a great change and give us that OG Warzone feel. Now, overall, from a higher level, I want to touch on kind of how the gunplay and the guns felt, and with the omni-movement combined, I think we're in for a solid year. The thing was, again, the main thing, and I keep going back to this, is I didn't get to actually build out my certain loadout that I want. And obviously, like with perks like double time, things like that, like faster sprint to fire, faster attack sprint, like the ground loot and stuff felt very, very good. The one thing I did notice though, obviously with recoil control, it felt pretty much the exact same as the current game, but it definitely seemed like there was a pretty big damage drop off on those longer range fights. Now, that could be because we had absolutely trash ground loot. I have no idea. It could feel completely different when we actually get to build a loadout because those might not be the best builds. Obviously, even in Warzone now, there's legendary guns or purple guns that aren't really that good in the game now. But I could definitely tell, which I honestly kind of liked, is that from those longer ranges, you had to really make every single bullet count to get those knocks. Up close, the TTK and stuff felt pretty much the same, which I didn't mind because I think the TTK now is at a pretty good spot up close. Stims obviously got those boosts, which I didn't get to really try because, again, had no loadout. But Stims, even in multiplayer, felt super, super instant, which was nice. Smokes got nerfed, so it felt good that the gunplay and how just the guns felt overall was in the game. The one thing I will say, though, is aim assist feels the same. And I know that's going to be crazy, and I know people complain all the time that aim assist should get nerfed. I think as a high-level controller player, it should get nerfed. Is that ever going to happen? I doubt it, to be completely honest, because most people at the end of the day were playing an arcade shooter that is a controller game. Is it ever going to get nerfed? I don't think so. The good thing is, because people are moving a lot faster, I think it's going to be harder to track compared to how it was in like a Warzone 2, where it seems like aim assist was even crazier because people are not moving as fast on your screen. So hopefully, because they did give that buff to movement, aim assist is a little bit, I wouldn't even say nerfed, but it seems like it's nerfed for some people that aren't really like higher level controller players, is because people are going to be moving a lot faster on your screen. But overall, though, I'm not going to lie, aim assist felt the same. But gunplay and stuff felt really, really good, I think, overall. Obviously, with the movement, the side canceling, those fights and stuff still felt really, really good. And I think that we're in for a good year as we bring in, obviously, all those guns, all those attachments, and get only pros to all the attachments we're actually using. I think it's going to be pretty good. The crazy thing is, which you'll see me touch on later, is with the extra gunfighter perk, getting 8 attachments on an actual primary loadout is going to be insane. So having an 8 attachment weapon that's going to be quote unquote meta is going to be ridiculous. And I think obviously with bullet velocity, damage range, all that kind of stuff, we might have some pretty broken guns in the near future because, like I said, gunplay felt good off ground loot. I couldn't imagine me building an actual meta loadout, how it's going to feel then. Now, also real quick in the comments, I do want to know how you guys feel about these kind of sit down, talk through videos. I obviously love these because I love to connect with you guys. I did a community post and also on Twitter asking you guys what questions you guys wanted to ask me of how I felt about the game. So I'm going to be doing that at the very end of the video, going over some of the questions you guys asked and responded to give you guys a more feel, because I can talk about the game all day, but I know you guys have certain questions that I probably wouldn't even think of that's going to help me a lot and hopefully help you guys a lot regarding the new Warzone. So regarding omni-movement, that is hands down my favorite thing so far of Black Ops 6. And it felt not gonna lie, a little weird in Warzone. Now I know that's probably crazy because I saw the comments, Joe's just gonna gas up the new game, don't listen to him. I'm gonna be honest, and I told the devs the same thing. It felt a little bit strange in Warzone. And the reason being is I think we couldn't have our actual loadouts that we would usually use, or perks and things like that, because even if you play Warzone right now and you don't have like your loadout or anything like that with double time, with perks like Resolute, with movement builds that I like to make, everything that we were using in the new game was only ground loot. And even if you use only ground loot right now in Warzone, you'll get those dead slides, those weird tack sprint, like it'll feel different than when you actually get your loadout. And I think that was definitely part of the reason, but I felt a little bit of delays when I was going into tack sprint, when I dove, because obviously now with omni-movement, you can slide in any direction, you can dive in any direction, which is gonna be super useful, engaging and disengaging fights and things like that. That's gonna be just the outplay potential for a lot of stuff is gonna be wild. And obviously I got you guys with moving guides and stuff like that later, but the outplay is gonna be great, but I don't think I got a good feel of how it's gonna actually feel, because obviously we had a 2-hour window to play the game, which with new movement and stuff, looking back on like old clips of like Warzone 1 from day one to then the very end, learning those combos of what works and what doesn't obviously happens later. It did feel very, very solid, but I felt there was a little bit of some delays. And in multiplayer, because I had certain perks that I chose, it felt more fluent. The one thing that I did not get to try, and I hope this will change how I feel about it, is a knife as a third gun. Now, I want to say, if you guys remember this, in my old Warzone 2 video, and I said they watch it and they do take in feedback. Like I said, should they ever listen to me of what I want? Of course not. I'm a 0.0001% of the player base, but it is cool to know that they are listening, because they said, we heard you on that. And giving them feedback of stuff that obviously you guys want, I want, and trying to find a balance of that, I think is super, super important. But if you guys remember, in Warzone 2, I said, I miss the full tack sprint, what we could do. And obviously we're playing an arcade shooter. I was like, what would be really cool is if we have a dedicated knife slot that we can bring out and tack sprint run all the time and have unlimited tack sprint. Well, they have that in the new game and in the new Warzone. And I was like, I remember saying that like 2 years ago. I was like, that would be so cool, because also later they can do cool skins, cool variants of like the swords, bring back the Cali sticks, which hopefully aren't broken, things like that like we can buy to like make our character feel like ours, have like a cool knife, blade, switchblades like Valorant, like all those kind of games. They can obviously make their money on skins if you're into buying skins. I would love that, but I did not get to feel how it felt to bring out a knife, and the outplay for that is definitely gonna be insane. Now, I did get a couple perk packages off the ground or off buy stations or loadouts that weren't customizable that did have movement perks like double time and stuff, but I didn't get to feel it with a good SMG build. So like obviously when you're running around with an SMG, I think there should be layers to how fast your tack sprint is. And I say that because if you have out your knife and your dedicated knife, you get to fully tack sprint, right? Fully sprint around. I think that tack sprint speed should have levels to it where if you do that, you are the fastest you could possibly run on the map. And honestly, outrun people that are chasing you, because you put yourself at that disadvantage because you only have out a knife, right? So if somebody catches you off guard or something, the odds that you can get your gun out fast enough to kill them and them not kill you is going to be very, very slim. But I think that there should be those levels to how fast you're actually running, where you're running way faster than if you're tack sprinting with an SMG, tack sprinting with an AR, things like that, where that can add that skill gap. So let's say you're fighting and stuff and that swap speed to a knife is instant. Let's say you're fighting a team, you knock somebody, bring out your knife. Instead of using throwing knives or things like that to thirst people, you can use your knife, thirst somebody, run away, reach out, get your gun. Like the outplay potential combined with the omni movement, I think would be sick if they do it right. And I wish that I got to actually try it out and feel how it felt to really finesse with the omni movement and with my guns and stuff. So that's the only thing. I think that the framework is there for omni movement and how it can play out in knives. The problem was we were a little bit limited on what we could actually do and actually feel, because obviously there was a 2-hour time gap when in the grand scheme of playing the game, it'll take us weeks to actually feel the groove and feel what combos feel good. But it'll take us a while, and also actually using our own perks, which is like the double time loadouts, and what actually matters when you're moving. So side note of one of my absolute favorite changes of playing the game already was, if you guys see behind me and stuff or have noticed, they have colored ground loot now. So when you're picking up guns from the ground, you don't have to look at them and be like, okay, that's a common gun, that's a rare gun, this is a legendary gun. You know by the color of the gun on the ground what you're picking up, whether that's rare, and they still have that like vomit loot feel where when you're looting, it still feels like the same game, which I think is good. I did give them the feedback though, because obviously with no backpacks, carrying extra plates and stuff like that is kind of tough to do unless you have those vests and things like that, which again, I don't know all the vests because I just didn't get to play and loot and just write down all the stuff I saw. But I definitely noticed, and I gave them this feedback, was when I was playing the game, there was times that I was actually running out of ammo. And it wasn't like I was fighting a ton of people, but as I was engaging in certain fights, I would be running over ammo and it wouldn't be picking up. So it's like going back to like that floor loot of like making sure, which is like a small quality of life feature, but it's very, very important, is obviously knowing what's on the ground is super important. Seeing like a purple gun that's actually purple on the ground, that's a great change. But then when you're running over loot of guns you have, making sure that's an instant, like you're auto picking up ammo and not like having to look down and grab the ammo. There were times I was actually had no extra bullets. So I had to like run away, go loot, and try to find more ammo, which it should be seamlessly just picking up ammo as you're going around with the guns you already have. So I felt like that was kind of bugged, and the same thing with plates, of where I would be sprinting over plates and it wouldn't auto pick up. So that was like my number one thing I noticed instantly, was like that. I was like, whoa, that needs fixed ASAP. Now the new thing they're also bringing to Warzone is gonna be Wildcards. And that's gonna be your fourth, I guess you could say, perk slot. And that's gonna be a kind of bonus you can do. If you guys remember, even now, or way back in Warzone 1, there was Overkill as a, I guess you could say, perk. And they're kind of bringing that back with Wildcards. Now, there's one wild card which is very, very broken. And this was feedback I gave them too, because I'm trying to find, like I said, that balance, right? Now, they have a Overkill wild card, which you can use and get 2 primary guns with 5 attachments. But they also have Gunfighter, which gives you 8 attachments on 1 weapon. So you could still get a pistol secondary, but you have 8 attachments on 1 weapon. If you guys play Warzone right now, you guys know there's the redacted weapons in bunkers and things like that. And those things, and those aren't even like meta builds, they're crazy. And I said, to find that balance, I don't know a single person that will ever choose Overkill over an 8 attachment weapon as that 4th perk slot. Because if you're buying a loadout from a buy station, you can still obviously buy your guns, your personal guns for 2,500 from a buy. If you're buying your loadout, why not get an 8 attachment primary and then spend another 2,500 and buy your SMG? But they said, well, what we could do is put those 8 attachment guns in the buy to buy them, because technically that's your loadout, which you can buy. Like now, if you have loadout 1, your first gun, you can actually buy in the buy station. The second loadout, the first gun on that second loadout slot, you can buy in the buy station. I gave them the feedback of that will be the most broken thing instantly in the new Warzone. I said, in my opinion, we'll see if they change it, is that with this new Gunfighter slot, the only reason that you could have an 8 attachment weapon is because of that Gunfighter perk slot. So I don't think you should be able to buy your 8 attachment weapon from the buy station for 2,500 or even more, because you don't have your loadout perks to have that Gunfighter perk slot, if that makes sense. So I just don't think that should be a thing. And I said, if you guys are gonna do that, that would be very, very broken, because you could have your loadout 1 with Gunfighter, have an 8 attachment AR, 8 attachment sniper, something like that as your primary, have your loadout 2 as a Gunfighter perk slot, have an 8 attachment SMG, and then just go to the buy station and buy those 2 guns. And then you have 2 8 attachment guns for cheaper than buying a loadout. That would be insanely broken. So I said what they should do is, either change it where you cannot buy your 8 attachment weapon in the buy station, which again would be probably kind of hard to do, or make your 8 attachment weapon, if you choose to use that gunfighter perk slot, to have 8 attachments instead of 5, where then it's like almost the cost of a loadout. So you actually have to buy a loadout instead of being able to buy those 2 guns, if that makes sense. Because if you don't use that perk slot for gunfighter, you can only use 5 attachments like the old Warzone and now, which is good. They are simplifying the game to have those 5 attachments like we've always had. But with the 8 attachments, that's going to be very, in my opinion, very broken. And they got to try to find that balance, because if not, it's going to be only 8 attachment guns. Now, kind of to wrap up this video, like I said, I am going to be answering your guys' questions that you guys had either on my Twitter or the YouTube community tab. But I do want to say too, if you guys like this kind of style video, make sure to go smash that like button down below. That'll let me know you guys like this style. We can have more conversations like this, because I could honestly probably make a video on every separate topic. Movement itself, like I can make a video like this for everything if you guys want me to, of course. But so I'm gonna answer you guys' questions. The first one was from my guy COD Watchdog on Twitter. He says, please comment on the visual recoil and aim assist. I said that a little bit earlier, but I think overall aim assist didn't really change. It felt a lot better for me because there was actually the hidden setting. You guys know I play on dynamic aim assist, and the dynamic aim response curve, that was hidden in like a weird setting where you could switch it from standard, which I'm going to do a settings guide video for you guys, obviously, as the beta drops and the game drops. But aim assist felt the exact same. Regarding the visual recoil, it felt better now than obviously the current game, which I think is going to be nice, especially later as we get those 8 attachment weapons. It's going to be pretty crazy, and obviously way better than Warzone 2, because I didn't see a lot of like muzzle flash and like realism type of vibe they had in the other Warzones. This obviously felt like a Black Ops game, like a Treyarch game, and it felt super smooth. So far so good on visual recoil and aim assist. It's not going anywhere. So the next question I had was from Guac on Twitter. He said, after COD Next, it seemed like movement felt a little bit clunky at times, and obviously I did touch on that. Is this something that, because it's a new game and everyone isn't using the new mechanics, and what do I think? 100%. I think it goes both ways, right? A new game, new mechanics. We don't know those like combos yet, I guess you could say, because obviously, like looking back to MW3, playing that early, and then the old Warzone. If you guys look at my OG videos, me and how I moved and side canceled even in the first days of like Verdansk, it's embarrassing, right? And then seeing, obviously, as I progress to learn those moves and those combos. Also, like I said, the biggest thing, even now in the current game, is when you have those certain perks that you like and certain builds that fit your playstyle, because my playstyle is different than a lot of people's. If I build a lot of strafe speed, a lot of movement speed, I didn't get to experience that because we didn't have our actual loadouts or perks, right? But I think that learning those combos, things like that, learning to actually use the knife and being able to finesse with unlimited attack sprint was going to feel good. But like I said, though, you're right, though. The downside is there was times where I felt like I was like stuck in quicksand. I would side cancel. It was still stuck in like a crouch animation, push forward attack sprint. And I think that that's definitely feedback I gave them, was making sure that that's 100% fluid and there's no delays to anything. It shouldn't feel like that. It shouldn't feel like an old COD. It's a brand new game, so hopefully they can tweak that, because obviously we're months away from Warzone, but I think that's going to feel good in the future. Now, Tustin videos on YouTube said, is Warzone more complicated and difficult? And I would say that regarding the movement and stuff, potentially, but I'm going to have a lot of movement guides and stuff for you, so don't stress about that. But I think it's less complicated now with no backpacks, because obviously for higher level players, we have storing our backpacks of PDSs, streaks, and it just got kind of extra with all the stuff you could do. And now going back to no backpacks, it gives that kind of OG Verdansk vibe. So I think overall with the movement and stuff, yeah, but that's something that we can learn and coach over time. But the mechanics, the core gameplay with no backpacks, with looting, with on the ground, colored loot, things like that definitely seem more simple, and it gives that kind of normal OG BR feel and OG Verdansk feel that everybody loves. And speaking on Verdansk real quick, if you guys want me to make a separate video on this, let me know down below. But I gave them a ton of ranked play feedback, because we are getting ranked play on the big map, which is going to be Verdansk when the game drops in season 1, or it said like spring 2025. So that was the most important thing, was, hey, you guys are bringing ranked play to big map. I want to give you guys the best feedback that I know of, because now especially I've gone from playing with the best players on the planet in ranked play to then going to solo queue from bronze to iridescent on console. especially solo queuing. I know how a lot of you guys feel not having teammates, things like that. So I can make a whole separate video on all the feedback I gave them on ranked play and big map if you guys want, because I think that's a really good thing to touch on, because I know a lot of people love ranked play and love big map, and I gave them feedback on how big map still kind of feels like resurgence and how it should go back to those OG stuff. But if you guys want a separate video on that, I can do it. Now, Jeffin on Twitter said, how can old timers like me adapt? And the number one thing is obviously playing the game, which a lot of people can't do all the time, but also watching some of my videos, because I'm going to be obviously giving you guys a ton of settings and stuff, which, believe it or not, helps you out so much. Having the right settings for a game is obviously very important, but learning those movement guides, things like that, those aiming guides, centering, that stuff is going to be very important. But I think that there's going to be that good balance of, with having like a crazy movement, still holding an iron sight and holding a pre-aim. To me, diving around the corner, you're still, an iron sight still feels king compared to just having crazy movement in a game. Time to kill feels the same now, so you don't have to be the craziest, most fancy player to get kills and to still get those wins and stuff. So I'm gonna obviously have a lot of coaching videos, but it's not gonna be the end of the world, I don't think, because it's still gonna feel like an old Black Ops COD and not like a Tarkov game like we had. Things like that kind of like super realism feel. It's gonna feel like an arcade shooter, and I think a lot of people are gonna like it overall. And that's gonna wrap up my Warzone first thoughts. Let me know what you guys think down below. I've said this a million times, but I love you guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out. All this stuff is possible because of you guys doing big things like going to Washington, D.C. to play the game. It's all because of your guys' support to me. And again, if you guys have made it this far in the video, I appreciate you guys more than you guys will ever know. You've changed my life. Y'all mean the world to me. And I'll see you guys in the next video, all right? Peace.